if you wish to steep your content in left-wing values, I will just stop consuming it. And so will millions of other parents. If Disney really wishes to hone in on that key group of left-wing parents who wish to sexually indoctrinate children in public schools, congratulations on shrinking your market from 100% of parents to about 5% of parents. Really well done. Well done, Disney. You geniuses. You have a few gay animators and suddenly the entire corporation is working on behalf of GLAAD, not on behalf of their consumers. Again, there's no threat to Disney's employees, Disney's gay employees, any employees. It's all ridiculous. And by the way, if Disney is going to start sounding off on politics, seriously, it wouldn't be about time for them to sound off on Uyghur genocide. I noticed that they have not. They have nothing to say about that, of course. So apparently only certain things are worthy of sounding off on. Ron DeSantis' spokeswoman, Christina Pushaw, eviscerated Disney in a Friday email to Fox Business, blasting the Mouse House as, quote, having failed to condemn the Chinese Communist Party's human rights violations and saying that the company's disposition toward the genocide is much worse than silence, which is true because they make a lot of money off of the Chinese. By the way, also worth noting, as Katie Pavlich points out over at Town Hall, that Disney has its own problems with regard to the violation of children. A circa August 2021, Disney World employees among 17 people arrested in Florida child predator sting. So before I hear lectures from Disney about how we are somehow preying on children by protecting our own kids, and by the way, they're my kids, not Disney's kids. Before I hear from you about that, you might want to actually do some background checks on your employees who apparently are molesting small kiddies. As part of a sting on suspected child predators in Florida in August, 17 people were arrested, including several Disney World employees. Apparently, some of these employees were at Disney's Hollywood studios at the time of their arrest. One employee was at Disney's Animal Kingdom at Kingdom Lodge. He allegedly left his pregnant girlfriend to pursue underage sex. So it seems like Disney might want to clean up its own house when it comes to the protection of the innocence. It's never been about the protection of the innocence of kids for Disney. It's all about the money. But if it were really about the money, this is the part that's amazing. It's not even about the money for them at this point. It's about the pure and simple cowardice of the act. They are such unbelievable cowards. And because they're in an echo chamber, they really think this is a winning issue for them. It's not a winning issue for Disney, and it is not a winning issue for Democratic politicians. Their echo chamber is so narrow. They watch the Oscars, and they're chanting along with Regina Hall and Wanda Sykes and Amy Schumer, who have a grand Q rating of 0. Three people who have no purchase with the American public. They're chanting along with them, gay, 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 and they think that somehow this is going to win them massive political victory. Really, I hope they embrace it. Embrace it. Go for it, man. Do this every day of the week. Run on. Let's indoctrinate small kids that they can be a member of the opposite sex. Let's see how well that goes for you in a national election, you jackasses. So Joe Biden put out some tweets on the issue. The White House did. Biden said, every student deserves to feel safe and welcome in the classroom, except if you wish to retain your innocence, because you must be indoctrinated by a teacher who is dressed up as a member of the opposite gender, of course. Our LGBTQ plus IA minus / youth deserve to be affirmed and accepted just as they are. First of all, this idea that there's just a wide swath of 5-year-olds who are LGBTQIA and they must be protected and they must be affirmed by everybody being indoctrinated in GLAAD's favored views of sexuality. It is factually untrue. And again, I keep saying ridiculous, but there's no other word for it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's laughably ridiculous. Joe Biden says, my administration will continue to fight for dignity and opportunity for every student and family in Florida and around the... No, you won't. No, you won't. You won't even fight to get them into schools if Randy Weingarten tells you that they wish to not have teachers teach ever again. You won't even let them out of masks. The F you talking about? These people are going to protect your kids. They're not going to protect your kids. You want to know why parents are swinging against the Democratic Party? It's because they know the Democratic Party is more interested in paying off teachers' unions so they can use that money to get Democrats elected than they are in actually educating your kids, apparently on anything other than how to have non-traditional forms of sex. This is like the priority of the Democratic Party these days. Really go for it, guys. You own it. And you got Oregon's governor, Kate Brown, who she's very focused in on saying gay, 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 gay. She's very focused in on saying this a lot. I noticed that she's not focused in on, stopping insurrections in major cities like Portland. But here she was, preaching that children must be indoctrinated in LGBTQIA plus minus / carrot issues.
Hi there, Governor Kate Brown here. In Oregon, we say gay. Oregonians are welcoming of our LGBTQIA community members. We want to make sure that Oregon is a safe, inclusive, and welcoming place for all.
She is so tiresome. She's so tiresome. Of course, she is the first openly bisexual statewide office holder in the state of Oregon. So slow clap for the state of Oregon because, it's really important stuff, super important stuff. And in Oregon, they say gay. I have a question. How many parents are moving to Oregon because they say gay? You know what tells the tale on how people want their states governed? Where do the feet go? Where are the feet going right now? They're going to Oregon from Florida or the other way around? Why is it that Disney is growing in Florida and shrinking in California? Why don't you go back to California? Seriously, take all your crap, go back to California and see how well Gavin Newsom treats you when he shuts down Disneyland for a year and a half. Really, see how that works for you. And so all of this was, by the way, this is the greatest political trap I've ever seen laid by the DeSantis administration in Florida. It's such a great political trap because they've somehow gotten the entire left to own the idea that sexual indoctrination of children is a winning issue. I don't know. It's like a magic trick. I understand that the left now believes that if they see something on Fox, they have to know immediately that Fox is wrong and it's bad. But if you continue down this path, you will destroy yourselves, you idiots. You'll destroy yourselves. So somehow, Ron DeSantis has got the entire left to say out loud that they want small children to learn about sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten. Somehow he's gotten these morons to say it out loud. It's incredible. And can you just imagine if Ron DeSantis ends up being the Republican nominee, for example, in 2024? Can't you just imagine a debate between him and, let's say, a doddering Joe Biden who somehow has been rolled out there because they can't allow Kamala Harris to do this, or Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of State or Secretary of Transportation? Can you imagine that debate where one of these people says to Ron DeSantis, "You passed an intolerant, bigoted law in your state, a don't say gay bill," and Ron DeSantis looks at them and says, "Our bill banned the indoctrination of small children into sexual orientation and gender identity. Why do you want to talk to kindergartners about sex, you perv?" If he says that to Joe Biden, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Is that going to go well for Joe Biden? This is not a winning issue for Democrats. And so yesterday, DeSantis signed this into law. And in doing so, he brought out January Littlejohn, who's been a guest on this program, talking about her story. Her story is that her child was basically socially transitioned at school without her permission. Teachers did not tell her that they were using her kid as a social experiment and telling her kid to go by another name and pretend that her kid was a member of the opposite sex. She didn't find out about this because the school deliberately lied to her. So here she was explaining.
In September of 2020, my daughter told me after school she had a meeting with school officials that was held behind closed doors where they asked her which restroom she wanted to use. I immediately contacted the school and was told by the guidance counselor and assistant principal that I could not be given any information regarding the meeting and that by law, my daughter had to be the one to authorize my notification of the meeting or attendance to the meeting. In other words, school officials asked my 13-year-old child her permission as to whether or not my parental rights would be honored. When parents are excluded from critical decisions affecting their child's health and well-being at school, it sends the message to children that their parents' input and authority are no longer important. This created a huge wedge between our daughter and us because it sent the message that she needed to be protected from us, not by us.
Okay, so let's see if taking the opposite position of this parent is going to be popular with parents across the country. Democrats better go. So Ron DeSantis, I mean, they are making Ron DeSantis not only into the nominee, they're making him into the president. That's what they are doing right now. It's incredible. And Ron DeSantis says basic things like, don't sexually indoctrinate kids. And the entire left's like, no, we will. We like sexually indoctrinating kids. Ron DeSantis is a bad man. He's bad. So here's Ron DeSantis just ripping on Disney. It's like, well, but also, like, you idiots, you idiots. So the entire pitch of the Democratic Party for decades has been the Republicans are the party of evil plutocrats. They're the party of corporate America, of big business. They oppose small business. They oppose the little guy. They're trying to squash the individual. They're trying to squash the blue-collar worker. Then you have one of the biggest corporations on earth, Disney, come out and say, we are in favor of the sexual indoctrination of your children. And this sets up Ron DeSantis to not only slap a bunch of people who want to misparent and destroy your children, but also to slap at one of the biggest corporations on earth, making him a populist. You idiots. Ugh, it's glorious. Here's Ron DeSantis.
We will continue to recognize that in the state of Florida, parents have a fundamental role in the education, healthcare, and well-being of their children. We will not move from that. I don't care what corporate media outlets say. I don't care what Hollywood says. I don't care what big corporations say. Here I stand. I'm not backing down.
They're making him into a hero. You are doing it, you dolts. Fine, continue. Really, please continue. And then Ron DeSantis goes further, and he points out that Hollywood is very, very upset with this. And he makes the same point that I did yesterday on the show, which is, would you want the Hollywood degenerates you saw at the Oscars actually making policy for your kids? Is that who you want making policy for your kids? Or you? You get to make policy for your kids.
If the people who held up degenerates like Harvey Weinstein up as exemplars and as heroes and as all that, if those are the types of people that are opposing us on parents' rights, I wear that like a badge of honor.
Man, wow, if all politics is essentially oppositional, allowing Ron DeSantis to pick his opposition just by allowing him to stake out 80% positions with parents and then watching the left take the other side because they just hate Ron DeSantis, man. I mean, I will say that DeSantis, he has weaponized the oppositional politics of this time period better than any politician in America. Trump knew that anything that he said would be immediately opposed by the left. The problem is that Trump was never particularly discerning about which issues he chose to make the issue. Just whatever was on his mind that day. DeSantis knows that whatever he says, the left will oppose. And so he will say things like, the sky is blue. And they'll go, no, that's not true. How dare you, sir? And he'll say things like, what if we don't teach your 5-year-old about gay sex? And the left will be like, no, you will teach our 5-year-olds about gay sex. In fact, we will teach your child about gay sex. It's like, he understands the game and they don't understand the game. And they are way behind here. They are so let it continue. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Ben Shapiro Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date with all our future content.